Good to have you with us on this edition of The Beat. I'm Will Johnson coming to you from 12th Man Studios in the south end zone of Kyle Field. We're going to start with Texas A&M baseball. They opened SEC play with a series win over Auburn, and this weekend hosted a different set of Tigers. From Olson Field at Bluebell Park in College Station, it was Texas A&M versus LSU. There's always a little extra spice in it when the Bayou Bengals pay a visit for a weekend series. A&M ranked number 2 nationally, LSU in the top 10 as well. Thursday was the opening contest. A&M gets single runs in the first and second. Right-hander Jace Vines then took over. He threw 6 innings and allowed only 1 run, which was helped by the Aggies losing a fly ball in the sky. Otherwise, LSU simply could not solve him. When Vines left in the 7th, A&M was up 2-1. The Aggies then started to break it open. Boomer White's hit and run driven in the bottom of the 7th helped his team to a 2-run frame. In the 8th, J.B. Moss a hit and an RBI, and it led to another 2-run inning. Brigham Hill relieved Vines. He threw the final 3 innings scoreless. He got the save. Vines ran his record to 4-0. The Aggies beat the Tigers to start the series 6-1.
The defense was really what was working for me. I mean, we had big plays all around. I felt like I had a tough outing in Auburn, but bounced back and was throwing strikes. Coach was calling great pitches. Mike was catching a great game, and like I said, it's easy to pitch with this kind of defense behind me.
Friday, game 2, LSU evens things up with a little bit of help from the Aggies. The Tigers scored 3 runs, all of them unearned. It smarts even worse when it's a 1-run game. But LSU plays cleaner and wins 3-2. Saturday, with gorgeous weather gracing College Station, these two decide the series with the finale. A tight contest. The scoring doesn't start till the 4th. Michael Barish, a hard-hit ball to left. It scores Boomer White. That puts a little spark in the game, and LSU has an immediate answer. Top 5, Greg Dykman, a home run. Tigers tie it at 1. Bottom 5, not to be outdone. The Aggies get back up 1. Nick Banks, a deposit over the right field wall. 2-1 Aggies. Kyle Simons was dealing on the hill this afternoon. He took A&M into the 7th with that lead intact. In the 8th, the Aggies add a little insurance. Taking dead aim on the right field line, Hunter Melton, a big swing. 3-1 A&M, the bullpen locked it down. Brigham Hill threw an inning in relief. Ryan Hendricks came on to close it in the 9th. He picked up his 5th save. Kyle Simons improved his record to 5-0. A&M takes the series. They beat LSU Saturday 3-1.
I was really proud of the way our starters bounced back after last weekend in Auburn. All 3 of them gave us quality starts. Simons was at the bottom of the zone, was able to get the fastball inside of their swings, and the changeup and breaking ball was really good. I thought he was fantastic today, and bring Brigham back on a day's rest was really good. Some big outs there in front of Hendricks, and Hendricks was really good there to finish.
After taking care of the Tigers, the national polls took notice of the Aggies. A&M baseball is now the number 1 ranked team in the country. And what do they have coming up? Lo and behold, it's another series on the road in the SEC at number 2, Florida. Ought to be a good one in Gainesville. We'll talk more about it later in the show. But when we come back, we have head women's swimming and diving coach Steve Boltman on our set. This portion of The Beat is brought to you by ASCO, your place for case construction equipment in Texas. We welcome you back to The Beat inside 12th Man Studios at our sports desk. We are joined now by head women's swimming and diving coach Steve Boltman. Texas A&M last week went off to Atlanta and the Georgia Tech Aquatic Center for the NCAA Championships. And for the 4th year in a row, the Aggies finished 4th. Pretty good consistency shown by this man and his program, but yet again, another top 5 finish for Texas A&M women's swimming and diving. And Coach, it was a great week. We'll talk about it. First of all, thanks for taking the time to join us today.
Oh, you're welcome. It's great to be here.
So let's go back to those NCAA championships. Like we said, it's another year, top 5 in the nation and really top 4 nationally. Just your thoughts on the overall performance of the Aggies last week.
Really good. We broke 4 school records there, and we're within 3/100ths of a fifth. And those are some pretty good school records they're breaking too. So we were really excited. You know, before the meet, we talked about it. We felt like we had 5 girls that had an opportunity, if things went really well, that could potentially place top 8 in 3 events. One of them did. The other 4 got top 8 in 4 events, and 3 of those 4 were in consoles in their 3rd event. So we did really well. I was pleased. We got some, you know, divers scored as well. Our relays were good. There was one that, you know, we didn't swim quite as fast as we wanted to in the morning. We ended up getting 9th instead of probably 4th or 5th, and so that cost us a little bit, but I mean, just some great swims. I was very pleased.
Obviously, the NCAAs are the best of the best, but you can almost say that when you swim in the SEC championships, which you did this year and won it. You were the champion. What did that mean for the program to capture that crown at a place? The SEC championships, sometimes they just call them a mini Olympics. The athletes are so good there. What did it mean to you?
That was great. I mean, that was one of our goals. And you know, the first 3 years in, Georgia had won the SECs pretty handily. And this year we knew we could be closer. You know, we were just interested to see how close we could make it. And the girls just kept stepping up and rising to the occasion. I mean, it was back and forth. It wasn't just us and Georgia. Tennessee was in it too. And the score kept switching around. But pretty much the last, because it's a 4.5-day meet, the last 3 days, at the end of each day, we were still ahead. Although, you know, like the second to last day, winning the medley relay was really huge. And then it went down to basically the second to last event, and we were behind, but we also had a bunch of good 200 breaststrokers, and the girls ended up getting 1-2 in that last individual event, which pushed us far enough in front that, I mean, we got 4th, and still in the last relay, we were just be safe, don't false start, you know, and we still won by almost 30 points. So it was great. I mean, it was definitely a goal, and it was very satisfying for, you know, everybody involved to see that come to fruition.
Now the season has come to an end, but it's not like you or a lot of your student athletes slow down. This is an Olympic year. Right. Rio is coming up. What does that mean for you heading forward these next few months and for your student athletes?
Well, we've got, you know, some of our foreign girls that have their trials. You know, one is France is this week, next week Canada, the week after that South Africa. U.S. trials are the end of June, beginning of July. So it's, you know, it's not much of a, you know, some people take a little break, and this is the year where you really can't take much of a break because, you know, I mean, just making it to the U.S. Olympic trials is a pretty big deal, but I mean, we've got some girls that want to do more than just appear there. They want to, you know, they want to get second swims there and hopefully make the team. And, you know, we were fortunate in 2012 to have 9 swimmers and a diver competing over in London, and you know, we would like to have close to that number over there competing again, which would be something special.
Thanks for the time, Steve.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, Steve Boltman, our head women's swimming and diving coach here at Texas A&M. And again, they were 4th place for the 4th year in a row at the NCAA championships last week in Atlanta. Back in just a bit on The Beat. This portion of The Beat is brought to you by Memorial Hermann, official sports medicine partner of Texas A&M Athletics. Welcome back to The Beat. Our thanks for Steve Boltman joining us, the head women's swimming and diving coach. His team has experienced great success in recent years, and one of the reasons for it is Aggie swimmer Beryl Gastadello of France. 12th Man Productions recently sat down with her.
I'm Tina Nguyen here at the Texas A&M Natatorium with sophomore swimmer, butterfly specialist, freestyle and backstroke specialist Beryl Gastadello. So let's start off by talking about last year. You stole the show by placing in 7 total events, and you also broke a Texas A&M school record in the 100 butterfly and the 50 freestyle. Looking back, did you ever think you would do so well?
Honestly, I didn't know what to expect, since I come from a country where we practice only long course, and here we practice in yards and we race in yards as well. So I didn't know what to expect, and I was surprised because the others were surprised about what I've accomplished here, so that was great.
So let's take a step back and talk about you personally. You come from a family heavy of swimmers. Your grandmother and mother were both Olympian swimmers. Your dad and your brother swims. So how did this all start for you?
It started when I was 7 years old. Every year we used to choose what sport we want to do with my mom and my brother around the table. And I didn't know what to choose. My brother chose swimming and I just followed him and I started swimming.
Going back to your mom, at one point in her swimming career, she held the French national record in the 50 backstroke. How long ago was that?
So yeah, it was 31 years ago, and I broke that record again last year during French national championships.
What was that feeling like for you when you found out that your mom held that record and now you hold that record?
It was awesome because I didn't know before, and she was very proud of me, and it was an emotional moment, and I will remember it my whole life.
A couple years ago, you were told by the doctors that the chances of you swimming at a very high level was very rare. Can you walk me through what the doctors told you?
Yes, they said that it would be hard for me to swim at a high level again after what I got because I had mono for 3 years and I could not go to school, could not swim, but just sleep. That's the only thing that I did. So it was a tough period, and I'm very glad that I'm here right now.
It's crazy thinking that was only a couple years ago, and now we look at 2016, you're on the pursuit to the Olympics. Was this ever a dream for you growing up?
The Olympic Games, it's more than a dream, I guess. It's an achievement of all the work you've been putting on for years, and so it's a goal for me.
Talking about NCAAs in March, you leave for that, you come back 3 days later, you leave for France to go for the Olympic trials. What is your mindset going into this?
My mindset, I have a lot of determination. I am confident because I did the job, you know, and I trust in my coaches Steve and Tanika. So I'm confident and I'm just gonna go for it, have fun, and qualify for the Olympics.
Our thanks to Tina and Beryl. Gastadello is one of several Aggies that will now compete in the Olympic trials in front of the Olympic Games in Rio de Janeiro this summer. We're back in a moment on The Beat. Welcome back. It is time now to look around the Aggie sports landscape. And why not begin with Texas A&M men's basketball after they experienced a historic year. Texas A&M reached its 4th Sweet 16 in school history. Once getting to that round, Oklahoma would be too much. In Anaheim on Thursday night, the run came to an end.
Yeah, proud of how hard we fought all year, what it took to get to this point. Obviously the outcome's not what we wanted, but just really proud and happy for my teammates for sticking with it the whole year.
Tough way to lose like that. I think me, the seniors, and the rest of this team put all we had into it, and you know, it's a really emotional moment right now because the season's over with, and you know, I'll probably keep in contact with some of these guys for the rest of my life, and just a sad moment right now. We didn't go out like we wanted to, and it just happens like that sometimes.
The Aggies could hold their head high, though. 2015 and 16 saw A&M tackle one of the toughest non-conference schedules in the country. The Aggies traveled out to the Bahamas over Thanksgiving and finished second in arguably the season's best pre-conference early year tournament. In fact, 6 of the 8 teams competing in the battle for Atlantis would punch tickets to the NCAAs. Syracuse, who beat A&M in the final, is now on their way to the Final Four. But the main story coming out of the Caribbean was A&M's win over rival Texas in the opening game. It was the first time the teams had faced off on the hardwood since A&M's move to the SEC. Another in-state rival would come to College Station soon after. Texas A&M took down the Baylor Bears on Star Wars night. the Aggies used sheer force to outmuscle the Bears in another high-profile non-conference win. The Aggies began league play with only 2 losses. They would then proceed to win 7 straight in the SEC. One of those victories came at home against LSU and heralded freshman Ben Simmons. The student body turned out in droves as A&M set a new Reed Arena attendance record of 13,888. ESPN's College Game Day show would come to town the morning of the Kentucky matchup. It was their first visit to College Station in program history. A&M did not disappoint that evening as a tip-in by freshman Tyler Davis would see UK off in another overtime thriller versus the Cats. Lastly and most importantly, A&M would go on to win its first conference title since the 1980s. It was wrapped up on the final day of the schedule and on senior night, a fitting way for this acclaimed class to close their Reed Arena careers. All of this even before the magical Sweet 16 run. Here's to Aggie basketball and to all of the memories they provided this year. Texas A&M track and field swept the team titles at the Ricardo Romo Invitational on the UT San Antonio campus this weekend. The Aggie men scored 221 points, the women 222, and both were well out in front of the competition. Shelby Vaughn in the discus, Robert Grant in the 400-meter hurdles, and the men's 4x400 relay all established collegiate leading marks for this outdoor season. This weekend, the Aggies are at the Texas Relays in Austin. They have dominated the state's biggest meet in recent years. Finally, women's tennis, ranked 17th nationally, split a pair of SEC matches this weekend, beating Missouri and then falling to Arkansas, both matches held at the Mitchell Tennis Center. The women are 12-7 and 4-4 in the SEC. They're on the road this weekend at South Carolina Thursday and at Florida Saturday. Almost time to close out this edition of The Beat, but before we go, one more reminder about Texas A&M baseball and what they will face this weekend. For the second year in a row, they participate in a number 1 versus number 2 series nationally. They're on the road in Gainesville to take on Florida. A season ago, when they went to Baton Rouge, the Aggies were number 2 and they played number 1 LSU. This time around, Friday, it begins the series, and the Aggies are the number 1 team in the country. They are at Gainesville to take on second-ranked Florida. The last 2 games of the series, Saturday and Sunday, nationally televised on ESPNU. We'll recap it on next week's Beat. As for this edition, so long, everybody. We have run out of time.